Good morning, everybody. Good afternoon for some people in the Indian Ocean, I would say. It's a pleasure for me to open this webinar that is covering the blue innovations in the Outermost region with several examples, mainly from the Canary Islands, but where we are going to present the state of the art and new improvement related to different sectors, different research activity in connection with the marine resources, sustainable exploitation, and what type of future, or what type of activities, or what type of maritime sector, what type of new products can be developed from the marine resources around the different outermost region. So from this perspective, this webinar today, tomorrow, and Wednesday is trying to give you an overview and also enhance the networking activity with other researchers in other outermost regions, potential collaboration, potential joint actions. That is one of the main objectives of the FORWARD project, of better cooperation among the researchers in the different outermost regions, that in this case working in the marine science and technology. So today this is a good example on how we can improve, or at least start a collaboration with all other partners in the outermost region, together with the other European partners or consortiums, for fostering a sustainable use of the marine resources. With this work, I welcome everybody in the webinar. Today we have Professor Gomez Pinchetti, that is our facilitator and the head of the Banco Español de Algas, and he will also introduce part of the activities. I forget to say that we are just presenting some case study or some different example of multiple approach that in the University of Las Palmas de Gran Canaria are developing on marine resource management. Time constraint, we cannot present all the different activities, just some selected example that could be also implemented or bring networking opportunities with other partners in the outermost region. Thank you very much for your attendance, and I pass the floor to my colleague, Professor Gomez Pinchetti. That one.
¿Puedo usar este o?
Ese, sí.
Okay. Many thanks, Ricardo. Good morning, everyone. Attending this seminar for the blue economy through the project FORWARD. Today, in the first session of the webinar, we are attending to 4 presentations regarding several issues related to blue economy and projects that we are developing in the scenario of the Canary Islands. And the first of the presentations will be presented by Professor Mike Gomez Cabrera, who is researcher at the group of ecophysiology of marine organisms, EOMAR, at the Institute EcoAqua, who is going to give the lecture, Are the Canary Islands a hotspot for microplastic pollution? I will give the floor to Mai, and just remember 2 issues. Just remember that we have 15 minutes to make the presentation, and we have enough time for questions, and probably we will leave to the end of the session, and you have the floor.
Thank you. Okay. Good morning, everyone. thank you for this invitation. And we will have today a very important question. The question is, are the Canary Islands a hot spot for the microplastic contamination? As Juan Luis told us, I'm the leader of this marine ecophysiology group, EOMAR, and this is not a big group, but we are pretty active group. We have several lines, but this is the team from the microplastic research. This is not good? Okay. Better if I take that one? Okay, now better? Okay, perfect. I will continue. As I said, we are not too big group, but we are publishing a lot. From 2018, we have already 19 scientific papers on a different topic, mostly in marine pollution bulletin, but we have a very wide topics. Well, probably you will see many pictures like that in the news, and the magazines, and the scientific paper, where our lands, our beaches are full of this garbage, full of microplastic and plastic. And this thing started to become a big problem. And then around from 2010, 2012, it became a big topic. And the thing is that we estimate that more or less 250 million metric tons of plastic waste are produced annually. And from this number, between 5 and 12 million tons reach the ocean. And moreover, there is a hypothesis or an idea that maybe 90 millions will arrive to our beaches in 2030. The problem is when a bottle, a plastic bottle like this one, it's abandoned on the beach or in the land, for the effect of the ultraviolet light, and also for the wave and the erosion of the ocean, this bottle became to get fragmented in small pieces of microplastic, and this is the real problem, the microplastic. You will see something like this one in our beaches, small pieces of different colors, just in the line where the last wave left the ocean. And what are they? We call microplastic plastic smaller than 5 millimeters. And this plastic can be primary or secondary. We call primary microplastic those that they are manufactured with a size smaller than 5 millimeters. They are the common one that we use in toothpaste, in scrap, or also the one that is used like a raw material for the pellet industry. And we call secondary microplastic the one that they are the product of fragmentation of the bigger plastic. For instance, this fragment of a bottle, or the fiber, a microfiber that they will produce for our laundries in the washing machine. Well, this is our archipelago, and as you can see, we are like a natural barrier in front of the Canary Current, which is a descendant branch of the Gulf Stream. And all of these ocean currents are coming from the north, bringing whatever is floating in their water to our beaches. The first thing that we thought that it was an index of the processing of this plastic was this main lobster trap tags. We found these plastic tags on beaches like Famara or Alhambra in La Graciosa, and we didn't know what were those things. And the first thing that we saw is in those tags we can see a number, which is the license of the fisherman. Also 2 letters, in this case ME, which is Maine, it's coming from the state of Maine, and two numbers, 08, which means 2008. Well, with this thing, we can follow that this contamination is coming from Maine, the north of the United States, and it was in 2008. We got this thing in 2018. It means take around 10 or 8 years to come from the coast of Maine to our beaches. One of our first sampling was this project, that it became of a microtrophic project, and we analyzed 3 beaches from the province of Las Palmas, and the 3 beaches have one thing in common. The thing is, the 3 beaches are located in the northeast of every island: Las Canteras in Gran Canaria, Playa Alhambra in La Graciosa, and Famara in Lanzarote. But the 3 beaches have also one thing in difference. The 3 beaches have different numbers of visitors every year. Las Canteras is a city beach, is a beach in the middle of the city of Las Palmas, which have a lot of visitors every day and every year, of course. Famara is a relatively small beach, but has some visitors, mostly surfers, but not that much that Las Canteras. And at the end, Playa Alhambra is in La Graciosa. It's a beach with not too many visitors, probably less than 1,000 a year, and it's a lot of number. And in this way, we can compare if the contamination is from the island or is coming from outside. And the result that we found was in the 3 beaches, we got really high numbers of microplastic per square meter. The highest number was in Famara, around 300 grams per square meter, and Alhambra also have a big number. Just to have an idea, 300 grams is about a bottle of jam, so something like that in a square meter on a beach. Also, we sampled this island, is Alegranza. Alegranza is the northmost island in the archipelago. It's just in the top, just in front of the Canary Current, and is an uninhabited island. No people is living there. It's a desert island, and we found about 1,500 kilograms of plastic every year. It means all of this contamination is coming from outside. Well, we have another studies in another island, and we found, for instance, in El Porí, in Tenerife, about 400 grams, but it varies in function of the year. In that paper, in July, we got this number, but in October, a year later, it was around 100. It means that there is a difference between months because it all depends on the currents at that moment. And also the last hot spot that we found is in Arenas Blancas, this beach in El Hierro, which is also located just in front of the current. Then, if we see more or less our archipelago and you look the hot spot in red, all of them are just in front of the path of the currents. For the moment, those are the hotspots that we already identified. We don't have data from La Palma yet, but we are trying to define what are the hotspots in La Palma too. About the microplastic in surface water, we have also several data. Those are published, and we found about 1 million particles per square kilometers in the Confital. It is close to Las Canteras in Gran Canaria Island. This is an incredible high number, and it's double that the number of copepods or zooplankton in the same area. It means that if any kind of a filter feeder, like for instance a whale shark or another animal who get the food from filtering is getting double of trash than their own food. We also study about the contamination inside the stomach of plantivorous fishes, and in this paper we got that 8 of every 10 mackerels, scomercolias from the local market of Gran Canaria and Lanzarote, have one different type of microplastic, mostly fibers. But also, we found microplastic in other organisms, like for instance in jellyfish, in Pelagia noctiluca, and birds, which have really big numbers of microplastic and plastic inside, crabs and allothurians. And the problem is this microplastic have chemical pollutant adsorbed. That is the bigger problem. We analyzed the pellets and the fragments in this founding in these 3 beaches, and we found high level of DDT in this microplastic, and this number were more or less the same that the one in India when they have a malaria problem, and they were using DDT to eliminate this mosquito. It means that the numbers are really huge. Also, we found high levels in Gran Canaria, more than in the other island, because Gran Canaria is the most populated and also the most industrialized island. And also, we can find ultraviolet filters coming from the sunscreen, and this contamination is made in the coastal area where the people are having sunbath, and it can give us an idea that the contamination is in the coastal environment. Well, the question is, these PCBs can affect the organism of a human being? The effect of this pollutant on living organisms are not clear yet. We are studying this thing right now, and not only our group, also many international groups around the world. But as for the moment, the thing that we know is these pollutants can be endocrine disruptor. It means that they can alter the hormonal system. Also, we know that they are mutagenic and carcinogenic, and also they can decrease infertility, the population, and on the survival of juveniles. As a conclusion, we can say that the answer of this terrible question is yes. It's sad to say, but yes, the Canary Islands are a hot spot of microplastic pollution. Thank you very much.
Okay. Thank you very much, Mike. Very interesting presentation. I think we are on time, so maybe we can have one or two questions first, and then we can leave for the final period at the end of the session. I don't have questions here in the screen, but if you have the possibility, I would like to make one first question, just to open the possibilities. It's very interesting to see how you have been sampling around the island, but I would like to know what is the difference between beaches or coastal areas oriented to the north and the beaches going to the south. You know that most of the touristic areas we have in the islands are related to south-oriented beaches. What is the situation?
Yeah, okay. The situation is the contamination coming from the Canary Current came from the northeast and accumulate in these northern beaches. Okay, it's true. We have a lot of tourists on the south, but normally this contamination is going through the ocean and not keeping in the beaches. The thing that we can find in those southern beaches is microfibers coming exactly for all the washing machine of this tourist population. And this is a really big thing too. But the biggest amount of number, the fragments and the bigger, the impression is in the northern beaches.
Okay, very interesting. So they have different origins.
Different origins.
Okay,
That's
very good.
Thank you.
Thank you, Mai. There is any question for Mai? Okay, we'll check. Nothing yet. Okay, then we are going ahead with the second presentation, which will be presented by Dr. Andrei Abramik, who is a scientist at the Group of Biodiversity and Conservation, Biocon, also from the Institute of EcoAqua, the university. The title of his talk is Marine Spatial Planning in the Outermost Regions, Current Status and Roadmaps. Thank you, Andrei.
Thank you a lot for this presentation. Thank you a lot for the presentation, and thank you a lot for the opportunity to present current status and roadmaps of maritime spatial planning. In the title, it's included the Outermost region, but I will focus on the Macronesia. This is a region where I actually developed my work within the last 5 or 6 years. So first, I would like to respond on the question, what is maritime spatial planning? It's a public process of analyzing and allocating spatial and temporal distribution of the human activities within the aim to achieve ecological, economic, and social objectives. This process is brand new, it's quite new, and so it needs to be supported by science. It includes different approaches, and the most important one is the ecosystem-based approach, but also includes area-based, integrated, adaptive, strategic, and stakeholder participatory approach. It's a practical way to create and establish more rational use of marine space and harmonize interactions among its uses. What I mentioned before, the ecosystem-based approach is actually trying to find the balance between the marine environment, social needs, needs of the society, and economical development. So why do we need it, especially in the outermost regions? We have in outermost region increasing demands for the resources. When we talk about, it's clear when we talk about the fisheries, when we talk about the deep sea mining, and also competition for the marine space. In the Canary Islands, we have direct example of the introduction of the offshore wind energy, which actually trying to find the space within the other sectors and can actually introduce and take out the balance which is actually developed within the various years. We have a development of sectorial bases like aquaculture in the Madeira, and changing conditions of the marine environment, but also changing conditions regarding the climate change. When we talk about legal requirements, we have to mention the Maritime Spatial Planning Directive, which actually requires the European partners, European countries to plan their marine spaces. And also we can actually mention the Sustainable Development Goals, which are the blueprint for a sustainable future. And there are numerous mapping how the maritime spatial planning can actually help and support sustainable future. But the most important goal is the life below water. And the maritime spatial planning within the changing and allocation of the maritime activities can actually make sustainable use of the ocean resources. So within the Macronesia, there are a number of the initiatives, and the first joint initiative is Project Plasmar, which actually gather the partners from whole Macronesia, from Madeira, Azores, and Canary Islands. It's a project that is co-financed by European Regional Development Fund, and it's finalized with 2020. It's defined scientific methodologies in support of marine spatial planning process, but taking into consideration biogeographic characteristic of Macronesian region. So it was not idea to just translate the developed methodologies in the Baltic or the North Sea. We actually developed the R methods that are actually considering the characteristic of Macronesia to find the balance between the marine environment and development of maritime activities. Practically, Project Plasma has a quite good result. It was recognized by DG Regio. There is a description of the project, but also within the Marine Copernicus, who actually identified Project Plasma as one of the first maritime special planning project who used the satellite data. Also, in the last publication of the UNESCO, it was referenced various times as within the developments now. So the Project Plasma actually developed lots of things. One of these, it's an MSP data framework. It's a strategic idea what actually need to be collected, what type of data need to be collected during the MSP process. It is established marine special data infrastructure for the whole Macronesia with the nodes in Madeira, Azores, and Canary Islands. And finally, the thing is that we developed the methodology and tools for the suitability analysis for maritime sectors. We developed a decision support system in DMAR, and we applied analysis for the offshore wind energy, aquaculture, and the mineral extraction. The second initiative in the Macronesia was Macronesian Spatial Planning, MARSP. This is a project that was running in parallel with Project Plasmar. 2 years. It was co-funded with the European Maritime Fisheries Fund, and actually went a different type of the development. It was following the step-by-step approach guide of the UNESCO, and it was focusing on the 5 steps: organizing of MSP process, engaging stakeholders, analyzing existing and future conditions, and developing the plan. As you can see on the slide, the project was going in parallel within all 3 archipelagos, and also had a quite relevant results within the region. One of the most important is actually public participation, which is developed within these 2 years. It is identified the relevant stakeholders for maritime special planning for all 3 archipelagos. These stakeholders were invited in engagement events. Also, it is established base for an initiated cross-border cooperation, which is quite relevant. And on technical part, it was established MSP platforms for each archipelago and established standard for maritime special plans for the presenting it, which is called MSP Inspired Data Model, that it's currently and recently recommended by DG Mare and used by EMODNet service. In the last 6 years, there was also a number of the events. The first one was definitely 6th Conference of Maritime Special Planning with the title of MSP Worldwide. It was held in Azores in 2016, and it was organized by European Commission and DG Mare. The second event was the next year, 2017. It was organized a conference on maritime special planning, ecosystem approach, and supporting information system, MAPSIS 2017. And within this conference, which was not so big, it was about 120 participants, we also managed to publish a special issue of the Ocean Coastal Management Journal. The third event was the workshop, MSP for Islands. It was also held in Gran Canaria. It was supported by Aqua and ULPGC, but organized by DG Mare and European MSP Platform. And the last event, which was actually held in the Outermost region, it was MSP Forum on Reunion Island, 2019. It was organized by MSP Global Project and by UNESCO and DG Mare. So within 2020, actually, we stopped within the events, at least the face-to-face, and we are actually hoping to have an event follow-up of the MAPSIS conference next year in the June. So when we talk about maritime special planning, we should definitely mention the development of the Portugal. Actually, they started their process in 2008, mainly because they have a huge exclusive economic zone, and they also have ambition to claim continental shelf, which is bigger than 2 million kilometers squares. So Portugal actually finalized their first plan in 2014, which was never adopted, but it was used as a kind of the good iteration for the next plan, which actually finalized in 2019, at least for the Madeira archipelago. The competence was the regional one, and actually this process was held with DG Maritime Affairs, or Dirección Regional de Mar Madeira. One of the most important drivers for developing the plan in the Madeira was marine aquaculture. The government has big plans, and they really wanted to allocate extension of the aquaculture facilities, and this was actually finalized in December 2019. Within the Azores archipelago, it was a different situation. No? Again, we have a problem with extensive maritime area, insularity and remoteness, diversity of the species, habitats, and ecosystem. Still, the competence authority, DG Maritime Affairs of Azores, they informed us that documentation and plans will be submitted to the public consultation next February. And if everything is going to be all right, it's expected to be adopted, the plan, in April 2022. One of the things what was quite interesting, they used quite a lot of web technology. They used the web portal of MSP Azores, also the geoportal Sigmar, which is the part of the special data infrastructure developed within the Project Plasmar, and also used the C-Sketch collaborative geographical information system to communicate within the stakeholders. When we come to the Spain, practically it was finalized the MSP Canaries, called POEM. It was the competence of the Spanish Ministry of Environment, which actually developed 5 plans within the last 2 years. No? These 5 plans are making the one national plan, and actually for this plan it is recently finalized public consultation and the strategic environmental assessment. The plan can be checked on the Miteco website, and what was the main objective of this work was the maritime spatial planning make sustainable development of the maritime sectors with good environmental status and the climate change resilience. So even the plans are finalized or going to be finalized, they're still going on the projects which need to support development of the maritime spatial planning. We recently last year we kicked the Project Plasmar Plus, which is follow-up, within the objective to scientifically and technically support the MSP process after the adoption of the plans. Within this project, we want to explore compatibilities of the marine conservation and maritime sectors. We work within the offshore wind energy and possibilities to include it in the marine protected area. And the second use case is aquaculture and marine conservation. We're also working on the update of the ecosystem-based management. We're working on the methodologies of cumulative impact assessment and applying ecosystem services methodology within the maritime planning. We included one new sector, recreational fisheries, analyzing the governance and management. We are still working on the monitoring methods and update already developed tools. The second initiative that is going on, it's recently kicked off this October. It's project MSP Outermost regions. It's a kind of follow-up of maritime spatial planning Macronesian. But in this time, all the partners are extended with a partner from French Guiana. This project actually wants to fill in the gaps linked with ongoing MSP process. And one very interesting part is that this project will build ocean governance platform. It deals with green infrastructures, ecosystem-based management, and of course, it's going to develop the methods and indicators for MSP monitoring and evaluation of the plans. So you can see there is quite a lot of going on even when the plans are finished, and I think I hope I gave you a good review of what is going on in Macronesia. Thank you.
Okay, thank you very much, Andrei. I'm checking if there is any question in the audience. Nothing yet. What about the people present in the room? Okay, I have one, just also to try to open the different possibilities for this. Do you know, within all these examples that you have already presented, do you know any example regarding the Macronesian area related to possibilities for algae cultivation in the region?
The algae cultivation, I believe they are starting to work with this. Sorry. Within the algae cultivation, I think there is a very important work going on in Azores. Mm-hmm. They are actually trying to find the farm and the suitable place for it, mm-hmm. and actually include it in the plan. Mm-hmm. I must say that I don't know where exactly come to it, but they are working for this for more than 3 years. Mm-hmm. But if it's going to be included, I think it's going to be included the potential location for the algae cultivation within the maritime space of the Azores, mm-hmm. within the next plan, which is going to come in February 2000.
Yeah, in comparison with all the activities related to marine animal aquaculture, is still just in the previous steps.
Exactly,
okay.
Exactly.
Okay, thank you very
Thank
much.
you.
Okay, I think now is my time. Okay, yes, well, my name is Juan Luis Gomez Pinchetti, and I'm professor at the university, and I'm going to teach about our research line in the Spanish Bank of Algae, and the presentation is entitled New Trends in Microalgae Production from the Lab to the Industry. Okay, so as I said before, my presentation is entitled New Trends in Microalgae Production from the Lab to the Industry, and I'm going to give you a vision of what we are doing in our small facility we have here in the harbor of Taliarte, where we have been working for more than 30 years trying to develop an activity that we think it would be very interesting for the Canary Islands, but also for the Macronesian region, which is related with the use of genetic resources related with algae, both seaweeds, macroalgae, and microalgae. I'm going to fix in the work and the projects we are doing with microalgae, and explain a little bit what we are doing now. Well, probably some people at the audience has been already visiting our facilities here in the harbor of Taliarte, within what we call the Marine Scientific Park, and we have been placed here for a period longer than 30 years, trying to develop all these kind of activities and trying to show the people in the Canary Islands how we can produce industrial activity related, strongly related with the use of algae. I insist, both seaweeds and microalgae. Just the starting point is a little bit describing what are our strategic lines for scientific and biotechnological vocation. We are focused mainly in 5 main research areas, which are conservation of biodiversity, basically through our important collection of microalgae and cyanobacteria that we have been working with for more than 15 years now. Using with all these genetic resources, we are working in the identification of isolated strains, just using very broad techniques related with morphology, phylogenetic and chemotaxonomy, related with the metagenomic analysis of all these kind of strains. We develop biomarkers combining biochemistry with molecular and flow cytometry. We have this kind of equipment and trying to develop tools that permit us to develop this kind of identification tools. And we are focusing a very applied part of the research, which is the technological development of for the production, the identification and characterization of bioactive compounds from microalgae and cyanobacteria, directed to the relationship between the academia, the scientific work, together with the industrial development, and as you will see later on, we are very much related with some companies. We are interested on all these kind of activities. At the end, the fifth point is related with the characterization of biomass for biotechnological applications, which are related with the possibility to obtain biostimulants from algae for application in agriculture, the possibilities to make bioremediation related to biodiversity and the environment, the identification of bioactive in different fields, which can be related to the production or identification of antibiotics, antivirals, anti-tumor, antifungals. Also the development of applications related with functional metabolites for food, nutrition and health. Or identification of metabolites for the cosmetic industry. Some examples we have with pigments from microalgae and antioxidants substances that can be found also in the biomass. And finally, a line related with the development of application for animal feed and aquaculture that we already carry out very close to the people here in EcoAqua. All these kind of activities, we are very kind and we are focused and develop techniques which are included in different of the sustainable development goals, and we focus on this kind of things, and almost also related with what we call blue economy, circular economy, sustainability, and the possibilities for the use of algae and the algae production in the mitigation of global change. Well, probably the most important activity we develop in the laboratory is to work with a collection of microalgae and cyanobacteria that nowadays is well, we maintain more than 2,000 strains, clonal strains of microalgae and cyanobacteria divided in different taxonomical groups. Most of them are being sampled in the Macronesian region. We focus mainly on what is the Canarian archipelago because although the Canarian archipelago is a hot spot for biodiversity and particularly related with seaweeds, with macroalgae, microalgae we are not very much studied, and we are focusing different kind of environments from marine to fresh waters and also to extreme environmental conditions that we have some examples also in the Canary Islands. But also in the last years we have been involved in a very interesting project which is called the Rebecca Fairs, and nowadays we have the Rebecca CCT, which is a network of microalgae collections around the Macronesian region, including the Azores, Madeira, the Canary Islands, Cabo Verde, and also the Samson universities in Mauritania. Which has the objective to share knowledge, but also to develop the possibilities of the application of microalgae for biotechnological purposes in the region, and try to develop industrial activity related with this sector, because we are convinced that the Macronesian region is a hot area and a possible area to develop all these kind of activities related with algae cultivation, and we are convinced that we have many opportunities to develop these kind of activities. Okay, in the last years we have also involved in two of the, well, you know, the trends we have in the European Union, which is related with the development of ERIC, the Consortium of Research Infrastructures in Europe. And at the moment we are involved in two important infrastructures, which are MIRI, which is the Microbial Resource Research Infrastructure, where we are working with the main microorganism collection in Europe, basically to share information how we can use all these resources from the biotechnological point of view, but also trying to improve and get new knowledge and new possibilities for industrial development using this kind of genetic resources. As you can see in the figure, we are not only working in what is the study of biodiversity from the different groups of microorganisms, but we are also interested to develop the possibilities of not only grow them in culture system, but also to obtain and to identify different metabolites and possibilities to develop industrial activity related with all these kind of uses of the biodiversity, in this case the use of microorganisms. And this is a new ERIC in Europe, and we are giving the first steps, and there are a lot of institutions already involved, but all of them are related with the uses of microorganisms from the biotechnological point of view. The second one is the EMBRC, which is the European Marine Biological Resource Center, which is also interested to join or to make a strong activity in Spain, and we are coming into this ERIC. Basically, well, the Spanish node is formed by the Centro de Investigaciones Marinas in the University of Vigo, and the PIE, which is the Laboratory for Marine Biology in the University of the Basque Country, and we will take part of this consortium in Spain and Europe. Here it's important to comment that through these facilities we will work in the different steps from the identification of the possibilities of microalgae, from the lab to the marketplace, which means that we are aligned with the strategy to obtain all the possibilities that we have studying this biodiversity related to microalgae. Some of the examples we have in our recent projects are also related with this basic science, but also is going to be directed to applied science. For example, some of the recent projects, one of the examples we have is New Tech Aqua, which is a project related with aquaculture activities in Europe, but we are involved in a particular activity, which is the development of improved strains of microalgae through application of classical breeding. And we are doing this kind of work, trying to identify and to make trying to identify some of the possibilities we have with this kind of applications. Okay, this is the lab scale, but we have also developed techniques for biomass production through different systems, from photobioreactors to raceways. And we have been also involved in projects for bioremediation activities using urban wastewaters and the use of microalgae for the process for cleaning the water. And this is part of the Savannah project, which is already finishing this month of November. And we have made a lot of work, and there are many publications related with the possibilities to use and to select microalgae that are used for this kind of application. Using all this kind of biomass, we develop also and identify several products and several metabolites through the use of this kind of biomass that we are already cultivating in our facilities. And the final step and the final example for this is the project Funactive, which is a project related with different companies in Spain which are interested to develop products for the cosmetical and the textile sector using microalgae and using products obtained from microalgae with high added value. Okay. Here we have some examples that how we obtain bioactives from algae that are being used in the development of this kind of products for the industry. And finally, this is the last slide, we are also involved in the development of the Bioassist Platform, which is a platform already developed here in Gran Canaria, together with the ITC and the Cabildo de Gran Canaria through the SPEC, which is a tool for the development of possibilities of actions related with the industrial possibilities of the culture of algae and also aquaculture in the Canary Islands. And the last project we have in the platform is the development of the incubator of high technology, which is going to be a platform for the work of companies that want to develop their activity related to this kind of things in the Canary Islands. So thank you very much. That's it.
Thank you.
Okay. I don't know if there are some questions about that. Carlos.
I have a question from my side. It's quite clear from your presentation that there are historical relationship with the Azores and the Madeira and also Cabo Verde and the West African shore.
Yeah.
Do you have any contact, or are you planning to have some contact with the Caribbean side or the Indian Outermost region of the European Union?
It would be very interesting for us. We are open to this kind of collaborations. There are different points that can be discussed, but the possibilities are very high because, you know, most of the examples we have in the presentation are islands, and we are in the outermost regions in Europe, and the possibilities to the development of this kind of activities related with biotechnology in this kind of archipelagos is very, very interesting. So we are open to collaborate and to see possibilities for these kind of things, just based on the example we have for the Rebecca project, which is open and is a very nice project because everyone is, you know, in the same line trying to develop this kind of activities in the region. Thank you, Ricardo. Okay, we don't have new questions here, so we move to the next last presentation for this session, which is presented by my colleague, Professor Lidia Robaina, who is a member of the group in aquaculture, the HIA, also in the Institute EcoAqua, and she's going to talk about aquaponics and circular economy, Island Dab Advance, which is an Interreg MAC project. So, Lidia, you have the floor.
Okay. Thank you, Juan Luis, and good morning, everyone. First of all, I would like to give the thanks to the organizer to give us the chance to share a couple of days with our colleagues here and on the web. And also, as you can see in my speech, I would like to thanks to all my colleagues in this project I'm going to share you. We were a small amount of people at the beginning, and now are becoming bigger and bigger, as you can see in my speech. So, so the aquaponic and circular economy, and as an example, the Island Advanced project, and how do we start thinking about connections and trying to develop the ideas and how we are going out at the moment. This is the speech. So I developed my 15 minutes in 2 points. So the first one is aquaculture challenge. What do we have and what do we need at the moment for more circular and sustainable productions? And as you will see, we need to transform the aquatic production in the near future. And we are doing so, not only us. This is an example of a project we're running here. And the second point, which is aquaculture can be a motor towards circular challenges for the near future also. And in this case, I will introduce the Island Advance and how we try to work together for the EU 2030 ODS objectives. Oops. So the first point is aquaculture challenge. What do we have at the moment? So normally what we have is highly optimized system for fresh and marine productions. Even an open aquaculture on recirculated aquaculture. We have also very qualified personnel around the world. So all around the world, companies high in knowledge and high in technology to produce a huge amount of food. More than 50% of the aquatic food nowadays coming from controlled production. And so we can provide food for the world, not only food, but just high nutrient content, food with high nutrient content and also high quality nutrients, which is important for the health of the people. And this is one thing I found is interesting at the moment is the very recent FAO statistic and FAO document, which is we will call SOFI 2021. And in this document, they told us that we need to transform the food system for the food security, improved nutrition, and affordable, healthy diets for all. So we need to transform our system for the quantity and quality of food for all. So if we move in, transform food system, the FAO forget the next challenge, which is better, good system, and them better adapted, to the circular economy and the climate change. This is not in this FAO report. So moving into the aquatic production, so we need to transform our aquatic production systems to go close to this challenge in the near future. So more aquatic production because of quantity, quality, and more sustainable way. So this is the context of our project, the Island Advance. And we are 10 archipelago, Canary, Madeira, and Cape Verde. And in this archipelago, we are 10 institutions sharing at the moment. Which is the objective of, so that moving to the next, the point 2, it can be aquaculture, a motor for the circular economy that we all know we need in the near future. So the Island Consortium main objective, what do we want to develop? First of all, we need to potentiate the to promote the sustainable aquaponic production adequate to our regions and the circular economy around organic matters. This was our first objective. And the second is to create the circular economy interregional network to promote the sustainable primary production, the bioresources valorization, the biotechnology, the circular economy, and the education in all these areas. So we are working before this SOFI 2021 in these interesting and coming areas. So why aquaponic? Why do we decide to aquaponic? This was the first idea. So aquaponic, what aquaponic means? Means a mix of different areas, aquaculture, agriculture, hydroponic, engineering, economy, collaborative work in circular economy, the many research areas that can share this amazing production system, which is a closed system, where we need to know about the amount of plants and fish that we need to work at the same time sharing the water. So it sounds nice to share different areas. So this was our idea. That's why we put aquaponics as a central objective to promote the circular economy in Iceland context. So this was our first initial draw of the project. So aquaponics is in the middle, and then 3 big areas around, and this is moving to many more areas to be able to transfer knowledge at the end with these areas working together. So the second is the Island advance the circular economy. What do we have at the moment? So what we are doing as a challenge, improving water quality while reducing waste. How do we doing this through innovation in close integrated systems with different plants and animals from different trophic levels, even in marine and freshwater system, as I told you before. So we are interested in starting working with a low trophic level fish here, which is tilapia and the magil, Lisa aurata, and also in Madeira they are working with trout. So you can use different fish and different, so the second point we are trying to develop is more sustainable aquafeeds for these innovative systems through alternative local byproduct-based ingredients. So we are working with wine grape pomace, with aloe vera, with acacia pod, carrot peels, and palm fruits. And what we are doing is just selection what we are working with, trying to develop fruit and byproduct management analysis, and per region deciding if it's possible or not every one of these byproducts. Now we are working here with palm fruits. We are working with 3 different palm species we have in the Canary Islands. This is a very nice and interesting project we are running at the moment with green and mature fruits from the different 3 species. And always when we are starting a new way of working, so we connect with the specialists around we have for these areas. And the third one is just improve the competitiveness of our aquaponic production through study the plant characteristics and quality from the aquaponic system, and also microalgae production associated to the water in our systems. Which kind of microalgae, and we found a specific microalgae, quite different than the ones we were using before. And also an interesting approach we are doing is trying to develop all our system with soft energy and smart controlling. One thing that we are doing with engineers here is multi-species smart controlling, which is nice, not only algae, not only fish, so control for all the things at the moment. And the last one is transfer the knowledge. So at least in seawater, we have doing the chance to test our systems at the pilot scale in collaboration with a university ABT, and it was running quite good, as you see in the pictures. And the last thing we want through this project is trying to find synergies with other important economic sectors. So we found a way to work together with people working in tourism and aquaponics. So they are involved in circular economy regarding the touristic sector. And we found a way to connect our aquaponic or our network through this group also. And they have published a couple of papers behind this project. So the last point I want to say you is now we have the chance to move into or to share with another project which is called Aquacircular. It's granted for the Bioassist Gran Canaria from the Cabildo Insular de Gran Canaria. And this is what we are developing here, which is a smart aquaponic greenhouse, where we can include this innovation we have at the moment to increase foods while reducing resources by controlling the inputs and the outputs to the system. And this is the flow diagram of this smart greenhouse, which is we want to produce a multi-species, multi-product in 100% smart, 100% soft energy, 10% only water recycling, and 0% residues. So we call this experimental unit for aquaponic and the exploration of aquatic foods production through innovative and sustainable production systems. So eco-design, multi-objective, multi-species, multi-product, this is what we want to do. And what can we do all this at the moment is because I told you we are a lot of people working together and more sharing with us. So now we have new research associated to this Iceland Advance, which is biowaste selective recovery, vertical production, lighting and indoor production, urban integration of our aquaponic system, energies, water and O2 and CO2, biotechnology, eco-design, bioplastic and plastic upcycling, and also of course economy and bioeconomy. And this is one thing we are doing here is trying to force our force also to develop eco-designing through recycled products for our system. This is coming in the near future. So there is an engineer, a younger one, working with this kind of things, packaging for the future. Sorry, lo siento, pero so with this amount of people, we have created the second objective of our network, of our project, which is we call RESIS, Red Economia Circular in Iceland, or Iceland Circular Economy Network, and is already working. This is the way of we are working. I'm not going to tell you about, but just if you are interested, please share us in this website, which is the website of the project. We are opened the new one website the last week, and please enter. And also you will have in our network all the events related to circular economy coming in this year. And the importance of this network and the website is that we have circular economy events for engineers, for biological people, for aquaculture, for many areas, for economy, for tourism. So we have the chance to, we all have a good view of all, and then we can separate all the areas if you want. So thank you so much. I think this is the last one. Thank you so much again for your invitation.
Wait. Okay, well, now we have some time before to finish the session. We have already attended the 4 presentations for the session today, but I would like to aim the people who is online to prepare some questions and try to share the interest with us. So I'm checking the question through the chat, and we can share it here. But first, Ricardo, do you have a question for Lydia?
Well, thank you, Lydia, thank you for your presentation. Quite interesting. It seems that the aquaponic approach is a multidisciplinary approach with many other experts, not only people working on the aquaculture production, but also from the economy and from the engineer, and making use of local, let's say, subproducts or things that are in your local environment that probably will be could be a garbage, but it's not becoming a garbage, but it's becoming a useful ingredient in your system. So I think it's quite promising and quite interesting, this aquaponic approach. And the similar question that I give to previous presenter is probably possible to implement this type of aquaponic approach in in other geographical setting, in other outermost regions. So taking advantage of your expertise of the RESIS network that you have created recently, that's also an important approach. Huh?
Yeah, sure, Ricardo. I have the opportunity to share another webinar a couple of months ago, and there was people from the different Iceland. People I didn't know you, and I was surprised that there was a lot of questions around aquaponic. And so a lot of questions, a lot of ¿cómo se llama? In the chat, there was a lot of sharing, people
activity.
asking, and so I think it's something that is in the mind of the people. We are trying to do it by our own, but the focus is to work together from the research point of view to develop the needed aquaponic for the future. Because it's in some way we can downscale aquaculture. You know, it's something that we can do from the point of view of the aquafeeds, for example. You know, so if we think in this downscaling, we can think in byproduct we have in our islands. So to have a list of the byproduct we can manage, like we are doing here, and try to focus on this and try to find if they are able or not. And by the way, we are trying to use this byproduct for our feeds, and at the end it's coming to cosmetic, you know. But never before nothing was thinking in this. So it's a way of thinking together and try to connect with the companies and hear the companies what they have, what they are doing, what the problems are, and that's it. So I think it's a nice way of working. Thank you.
Well, I have many questions. No, don't go away. I have many questions for you. Just in the meanwhile, we see if we have new ones. Lydia, do you recognize some difference between the situations within the different islands you have been working with?
Regarding
the situation is the wastes, resources, and the possibilities of the application of the aquaponics, as far as you presented, will be the same for all the islands examples?
No. The main inputs in the systems, this is because we are lucky, is because the main inputs are feeds, aqua feeds. So this is what I'm working with. At the first, a couple of years ago, when some colleague told me, do you want to share this European network? So I think, I don't know about aquaponics, even though I didn't hear before the name. Aquaponics was first. But we were lucky. But aquafeeds I'm working with, and this is one of the main inputs. So from this point of view, we can produce different systems because the input through the feeds are giving us different aquaponics. And the second one is the energy. So if we need to use soft energy, not all the island, we will share the same. So this is, I think, the 2 points that we can see from the different regions. So for Cape Verde, for example, we have now 3 years of daily data from the meteorological station, just to and develop the energy, soft energy we can use in Cape Verde. In one part of Cape Verde, now we have a new one in another part.
Oh, interesting. I have some more about regulations. Is there any limitation for the use of products, protein from the aquaponic system, as far as we have the problems with other products that we produce through the aquaculture activities?
But you mean food as food, or as feed? Food as food.
Yeah.
You know, aquaponic is not new. It's not new. The technology is becoming new, and it's becoming new in Europe. So the law is always something is Europe is trying to do the best. But at the moment, the only problem is that aquaponic system want to produce under the ecological way of production. So this moving into normal to ecological is that we are founding the problem. The rest, no. There are many things that you need to check in the system to be sure that the system is running in correct way. That's it.
Okay. I have some. One more. Yeah. How did you?
This is because I'm the last, no?
Yeah. Have you checked or have you thought about the possibility to use freshwater seaweed in your system?
Not yet, because the objectives were plants, not algae.
Okay.
So that's why not. This is another way of
Yeah,
thinking.
yeah.
It can be, but this is not the way.
an
The
option.
way is freshwater plants and alophytes, which is interesting also for the near future. Very, very much interesting for the near future. And how we can move salinities in the water, and then we can produce different saline plants.
Okay, so it's very interesting. Okay, let's see if we can have some new questions here. Nothing yet. Okay, anyone in the audience has some question for any of us? Okay. So we are still, well, 10 minutes left. Okay, Ricardo?
More than a question is just a comment, a general comment. From the four presentation, it seems that there are really potential for implementing this technological approach, not only to the Canary Islands, of course, but also to the neighbor areas in the Macronesia or in the Caribbean Sea, as well as in the Indian Ocean. So I think it's FORWARD is a very good opportunity to share this information and also to try to find out potential partners or potential collaborators in other regions that may take advantage or or probably they also have some very good technological approach in their own research areas or in their own regions that could be implemented later in the network of the Outermost region.
Just to follow. Just to follow your comment, Ricardo. Well, it seems very interesting to me today that when I was having a look to the program, the subjects we were going to present were in the beginning were very different one from another, but at the end I think we are sharing a lot of information which is interesting for all of us. I mean, from the World Bank MAI and the possibilities with the areas and the development of Lydia and what we are doing in our lab. I think there are many things that can be useful for all of the research we develop, and this can be also for the people in the different regions in that we are sharing with this information. So I think it's very interesting. Okay, some more questions.
Hi. Now it's okay? Yeah. I have a question to Mai. Thank you for your presentation. And you mentioned about the characteristics of Canary Islands, a hotspot of microplastics. But my question is about, do you think in the future we can determine or quantify is Canary Islands working like a sink of microplastics, or what measure works as a sink or as a source of microplastics?
Okay, thanks. It is a good point. It's true. We are doing these two things. We are like just a final point of all of the contamination coming from the North Atlantic, but also, as I was talking before with Juan Luis, we are also a source of microplastic. Mainly fibers. It's our big problem. Fibers coming for our clothes. Nowadays, you cannot find 100% cotton clothes. All of them have some polymer, some plastic one, nylon or whatever. And every time that you wash your clothes in your washing machine, millions of fibers are going to the sources. There is at the moment there is not any filter who can stop these microfibers to go into the ocean, and we can find it mostly inside of the fishes. It means it all depends what you are looking for. If you look for fragments, big pieces of microplastic, we are a receptor of that mostly. And if you are looking to microfibers, we are a source of course of that too.
Thank you.
Thanks to you.
Okay. So I'm checking the chat and no questions arise. So I would like to thank you all for the session today. It has been a pleasure to share the table with you. And well, we'll see what is going on the next session tomorrow and past tomorrow. And well, thank you very much and have a nice evening. Thank you.